So I was fast asleep, is the honest truth. It was a phone call at 4 a.m. So I've woken up and sort of grabbed my phone and looked at it and saw that it was Chris Dawson, the police commissioner. So really unusual to get a phone call from the police commissioner at 4 a.m. And I sort of haphazardly picked it up, and his exact words to me were, "Anthony, you better get to work." It was a really busy Saturday. It was the Saturday of the Telethon Ball, Telethon weekend. Our first thought was that she'd just wandered off. Like everyone in the newsroom, you hope and pray that it'll be one of those stories where a kid's wandered off and 4 or 6 hours later is found safe and well, and everyone, it's a real happy story and everyone moves on. Pretty apparent quite quickly that the cops were seriously worried about what had happened to Cleo. And it was quite fascinating because obviously the Telethon Ball, the Premier, the Police Commissioner, the Deputy Premier, the Police Minister, most of the high-profile West Australians are in that room. And, there was definitely certain chatter amongst some of us about how, what was going on and how serious could this case be. And, there was talk that night, so it's quite early on in the police investigation, about concerns about the zipper being higher than Cleo could reach, and what that meant for the case. The truth is that journalists and editors are always hoping for the best, and you're always being optimistic. And so I think you're trying to tell yourself she'll be found, it'll be okay. But as the day wore on, as you get into the night, and they hadn't found her, and we knew that the search, the very first day search, was quite exhaustive, we were starting to think that this is going to be a very, very big story. Another thing about newsrooms is everyone's a mother or a father or an auntie or an uncle, and so it does affect you. And you get good at sort of separating the human emotion side of things with the reporting side of things, but there are stories where it becomes very, very hard, and I think Cleo is one of those stories. I've worked on William Tyrrell and Daniel Morecambe and those cases as an editor, not as a reporter. And those are the things that first came to mind, I think. Like, you saw her face and you thought, William Tyrrell, Maddie McCann, Daniel Morecambe, locally, Gerard Ross, those sorts of stories. And again, you kind of try to push that to the back of your mind because you are hoping, hope against hope. You're hoping for the more optimistic view, which is that she's wandered off. She's going to be found okay. There was a really big issue in this case with amateur sleuths and amateur detectives, and in particular people trolling the parents. And the truth is, in a newsroom, you get the same thing. There are people in the newsroom who think they've cracked the case just by watching an interview with the parents or by reading about another case. With a story like this, you take a step back and you try to think, okay, well, how is the mum or the stepdad or the biological father or the auntie or the uncle going to react when they see this on the front page? And, I'm pretty proud of the team. I think, along the journey, I think we got it right most times. Yeah, look, really long hours for the crew, and we rotated quite a few people through. I mean, it was quite fascinating because, we have a very good regional network of reporters, and so we lent on them quite heavily, but they're also quite young. And so for those people, some of them only 2 years, 1 year into the job, to be working on a story like this, can be quite daunting. But yeah, long hours, long hours, definitely.
And were you getting calls the whole time, speaking to the police?
Yep. And, we have a 24/7 operation. Over those 18 days, we were living and breathing the Cleo case nonstop. It was genuinely one of the most heartwarming moments that I've had in journalism. I don't think anything can compare to getting that phone call, from the police commissioner at 4 a.m. saying she's alive. It was just a remarkable 18 days where I think collectively, Western Australia held its breath and just hoped for the best.